those guys a little bit more when you scout them in general?
After 2/3 of the season, one way or another, we've watched those teams, even though we have not studied those teams right now, prepared for them. We've watched them play. We have a general idea of how they play. And same with us. They've watched us, and they have a general idea of how we play.
So you don't think that necessarily benefits one type of program over another?
I think in any given year, the schedule could favor you, depending on who you play once and who you play at their place or not. But it evens out because everyone has to go through it.
Lorenzo, what you mentioned about the defense a minute ago, do you feel there's been any sort of regression on that end of the court, or has it been just kind of learning along the way early and maybe a plateau at this point of picking it up?
I don't know if there's been as much regression as teams have gotten better at what they do. Teams grow. Teams get better as the season goes, and we haven't progressed the way we should defensively.
How much different are you guys as a team now that you can really rely on Dominic to play those minutes off the bench and stretch you guys out a little bit that way?
It gives us another guy that can make a basket, but it also gives us another guy with length. Dominic is 6'6", but has a 6'11" wingspan, and he is a determined defender. Right now, I wouldn't consider him a defensive stopper because he's still learning, but he's determined to do things the right way. And he comes out every day in practice, and you can see he's really trying to learn. He's really trying to focus and pick things up, and that's one of the reasons he was rewarded with playing time because of that. You have a guy comes out every day with that level of focus that is talented, he's going to get a shot eventually.
Was it mostly the effort that you liked that made you want to put him on the floor, or was there an area where he really improved to where you said, okay, like I can trust him now to go in and do these kind of things?
Well, he improved in a number of areas. Earlier in the year, he's such a good scorer with a scorer's mindset that a lot of times, he would go and begin to hunt his shot, and maybe the ball would stop at times. And now he is understanding a lot more of the team concept. And he wasn't doing it because he was selfish. He's just been successful doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's a scorer. In his mind, he was going to show why he belonged on the floor. Well, while that was going on, he still wasn't where he needed to be defensively. We are aware that he's a scorer. We knew we recruited him to score. But once he began to take his time a little more offensively and begin to defend and do some things that way, then he naturally got his opportunity.
Was there any disappointment or whatever when he signed with Arizona State, and then what was kind of when he got out of the letter and became recruitable again? I mean, were you right on him then, or kind of how did that work out?
We kind of got into the recruiting game late with Dominic. We looked at him in July, and he was playing really well, but we hadn't shown as much interest before that. So Arizona State was already further along in the recruiting process. He thought about it, but it was kind of too late. So then when he became available again, we knew we had an opportunity. We were ecstatic because we feel he has great potential.
You talked earlier about Dominic, Coach, in terms of he kind of is maybe the norm in terms of the freshman progression that you would normally see. Is that still, are you still seeing that? Are you still seeing that uptick? And because it looks like he is getting more comfortable, at least on the offensive end.
He really is, and now he's gaining his confidence. So when that clicks in, he can do nothing but get better. He's understanding and being comfortable in playing the way that we're playing now. I don't feel he feels the stress that he has to come in the game and make his mark every time he touches the ball. He's playing a lot more relaxed, but yet playing hard with intent, with intensity.
And just in general, with Will and Andrew making these forays up to Greek Row and trying to generate some support, do you feel like Hec-Ed is starting to become the, maybe for lack of a better term, the fortress that it used to be when things were really going here, and you had some nice streaks of winning?
There's no doubt about it. When the USC game, when we were down and we came back, it was really loud in here. But the people that came out, once you start seeing that dog pack in those stands and 45 minutes before the game, okay, something's going on, something's stirring, and that was the case the last couple of games. And, we see nothing but improvement in that. It's my understanding that we're near sellout for Saturday, for sure, and that there are a lot of people that have already purchased tickets for the game tomorrow against Arizona State. So I believe the crowds now are coming, and I can just kind of sense it. I've been here long enough, year after year, when the crowds are there, or if they weren't there, to kind of get that feel in the air that there's a buzz and that they're coming around. So we definitely welcome that.
Was it somewhat disheartening that obviously some of the wins weren't coming in these last few years, but that the dog pack has kind of been a reflection of that, or instead of maybe being a constant presence?
Well, that's hard to say. I always try to put everything on us first. You know, we produce, they'll be there. That's how I've always felt. We haven't had as much success. We've been very mediocre. I've said that before the last few years. But all I know is now that things are starting to look up for the team, they're back. And that's really a good thing.
And how much does that energy really help you guys when you have those crowds? And how does that impact the team?
I've said it before, from 04 to 06, we won 32 consecutive games in this building. And there are many, many highlights and stories that came through that, in the midst of that streak, that were fueled by the dog pack. Coaches getting kicked out of games, coaches antics, turning around and not watching the game, making gestures to the dog pack, classic lines that they chanted towards players. The LSU game where Glenn Davis, Big Baby, came out there and decided before the game that he was going to chat with them and be their friend. It was an interesting evening. It's just been, I could just go on and on about the havoc and the chaos that they've created